Patience with Joe. That's great. So, my name is Natasha. I am a medical herbalist, which means that I studied for 3 years before practicing for 10. And now I run an online business, well, mostly online. We offer education about menstrual well-being and a range of products along those lines. And we also have a couple of herbalists that work with me to take patients if you have more of a in-depth problem that you need to deal with. Today we are looking at how to use herbs safely and effectively for menstrual problems, but it really could be applied to any problem. I'm going to look at 2 different ways to track your symptoms. If anything will open. Oh. Why is this happening? I have other ways of like opening these documents if I need to. Sorry. Where's that? Where's that? Oh, I see. That's okay. So that was actually already open. Okay. And then I want to show you different ways of tracking your symptoms. This one's my favorite way, so I'll open that. And then there's a more simplified way. Great. Okay, we're getting there, Sorry, lots of things happening behind the scenes. You can't see. And then I have an old school symptom tracker that you guys can have a look at as well if you want. That's what's not opening for me. Never mind. We'll show you what I've got, which is more in depth and more personalized to menstrual well-being anyways. So I suffered with period pain for a long time. It was debilitating for many years, and I actually kind of like snowballed out into being an anxiety problem as well. So that wasn't very nice, and I dealt with it all using herbs and was really disappointed with what was already available and how long it took me to find what works for me. And that's kind of why I ended up making products that people can use without having to see a herbalist, because it can be an expensive journey, even though it is very valuable. So I'm curious what period problems you have, if any, or if there's a different issue altogether that you want to or are currently looking into getting herbal help with. Just so I have an idea of like where you're coming from. If at the bottom of the screen you'll see a chat button, and if you click on that, then you can type to me. Oh, morning, Annetta. My period problems linked to my endo. Okay, so irregularity and heavy painful periods, but caused by endometriosis. Digestive issues and wanting to withdraw from the world. Yeah. Pain and skincare, although previous sessions on these topics have made a big difference. Oh, that's so nice to hear. Extreme fatigue and brain fog, itching. Oh God, yeah, I hate that feeling. Water retention. My migraines have gone. Oh, amazing. I found lots of likely suppressed stuff coming up before my period. Yeah, I suppose. How to support your emotions premenstrually. That's a great one. Fatigue right before your period begins. Yeah, we did talked about that last week. I think was fatigue week. eczema, ugh. Yeah, also get really bad bloating. That's annoying. Digestive things. You already feel quite enormous sometimes when you're due on as well. Oh, great. Okay, so safety first. So when it comes to herbal medicine, probably one of the biggest problems that I've found is that people will go looking for information online, and I think we tend to go straight for Google. So if you put in an illness on Google with herbs or natural remedies or something, then you will be presented with hundreds of pages, not really sure who's necessarily written them and which one is a good resource, which one's a bad resource. You'll probably find that like Google will bring up multiple pages with a few herbs getting mentioned over and over. So then you feel like, oh, well, you know, I'm more likely to be able to trust that herb will work. And then the other thing that I see people do is turn to Facebook groups, and they are just notoriously terrible. I have been in the past a member of many herbal health Facebook groups, and I've written blogs about it in the past because it's quite complicated why you can never get good advice in Facebook groups when it comes to herbs and potentially a lot of health problems, I think. But essentially, even myself as a herbalist, I can't give effective advice through Facebook. I find that the information that people write down is very limited. The format is more about you saying things at people rather than there being a conversation. So if I ask a follow-up question saying, oh, well, how long has that been going on for? People generally wouldn't answer it. So I can't get enough information to give good advice, and I'm a herbalist with over 10 years experience. So if I can't do it, I really don't think that anybody can do it. I just think Facebook groups are terrible for getting health advice. So I would recommend avoiding them. And although we can use Google for many things, or I think, you know, to take it with a grain of salt, and I'm going to take you through what resources to use that are trustworthy, and how to choose herbs for you in amongst that plethora. It's always worth bearing in mind that if you're already on medication, then you should really seek help from a herbalist before deciding what herbs to take. You'll be surprised at how many interactions there are with current other drugs and contraceptives. And also the quality of the herb that you end up buying needs to be high. If you're buying from places that have not got that attention to detail, then you might accidentally buy something quite dangerous. So let's have a look at the method in the map. Step 1. So the first step that anybody should take before taking a remedy for a problem is they should already be tracking their symptoms. And this is a way of doing it cyclically. Let me show you the full tracker. There you go. Can you see an A4 document now? This is a way of recording in a circle, and it gives a nice visualization for seeing how something comes and goes over the course of a menstrual cycle. The only trouble with it is that, yeah, I've put 31 days in. The only trouble with it is that, like, if you're doing it over a calendar month and there's 28 days, then you like have to miss out a couple of the spaces, but it's not the end of the world. And the way that I have recommended doing it here is to use different colours and fill in each box using a different colour, depending on how bad the symptom was. And you're putting in your own symptoms up here. So some of you would be putting bloating up here. Some of you would be putting like pain up here. And you can add circles around the outside with any kind of other symptoms that you want to track. And I would recommend that you keep track of them alongside your energy levels, your mood, your sleep level, your sleep quality, your stress level, and what day of your cycle you're on. So day 1 of your cycle is the first day of your period, and then you go from there. So this is one way of tracking that I like when you're trying to get more in sync with your period, and if it's a problem that comes up once a month to do with your period. The other way of doing it is the thing that is struggling to load. I think I can just explain it verbally if it won't come out properly, because it's very simple. It's basically, oh, it did work. Okay. Okay. So the kind of simpler way of doing it is, I don't know if this is simpler, but it's linear, is to have a straight line of boxes instead of a circle, and plotting your symptoms down the left. I would recommend keeping the energy, mood, etc. that I already explained, and then adding your custom ones. And then this could literally just be like day 1 of your recording, could be what 1 means. Day 1 could be day 1 of your cycle, or it could be the first day of the month, whatever you want to do. When you start keeping your diary, I would say just start. Don't wait till the next month. Don't wait till the next menstrual cycle to begin. Just start. And then when you hit whatever you want the first day of your records to be, start a new chart so that it's all nice and neat. It's totally unnecessary to do all of those things. I'm just saying, just a suggestion for if you want to be super neat and organized. I would recommend keeping a record of your symptoms that you're concerned with for a month before taking anything, because if you don't have that recorded, you won't know for sure if something is helping you or not. You'll be surprised at how bad your memory is for remembering what some symptom was like, especially when it only happens once a month. It is very difficult sometimes to remember exactly what happened, and just recording your symptoms, especially in line with the day of your cycle, has been shown in research to reduce the problems that you associate with your period. Knowing that something comes and goes with your cycle can offer physical relief from that symptom. So it's worth bearing in mind. All right. That's your step 1. Keep a record. You can make it as complicated or as simple as you like. Step 2, get a book, a reference that you can trust. I'm recommending my book today because I'm going to explain like how it's laid out and how you can use it. Because otherwise, like, why did I write it? Why did I write it if I didn't think people should use it? And then there are other resources that I want to recommend. I don't have the physical copies behind me, but there is an online materia medica that you guys could use called botanical.org. That is very reputable resource dating from the 1930s, I think. And the other book that I would recommend everybody get regardless is Bartram's Encyclopedia of Herbal Medicine. It is probably my most used reference book. It's so easy to use. You can look up a problem or you can look up a herb and it will explain what to use for the problem or what the herb does. So I would recommend that everybody has a copy of that anyways. But this is self-sufficient if you're coming at it from a problem of, a period problem. Because you can look up the problem at the beginning of the book And then at the end of the book is a Materia Medica. A Materia Medica gives you lists of herbs and what they're good for and how to use them. And my favourite part of the book that I put together is this. You can just start by using this back page. So if you know what your problem is, so I've got here hormonal spots at the top, the problem's all along the top. You go down and it gives you an X where corresponding with a herb. So you trace it along and you're like, okay, so these are the things that are useful for hormonal spots. And then you can go to the page, corresponding page number, which will give you more detail about the herb. Like that. So it's really easy to use for any kind of hormonal problem. Once you, it's very common that for a problem, there'll be multiple herbs that potentially could help you. Once you've had a look through at, say, 5 herbs or something, go to each monograph, I guess you could call it a plant profile, go to each one and read about them more in depth. The more things that you find a herb is good for, either for something that you've suffered with in the past or another problem that you have right now, the more likely that it is to really suit you as an individual. We call it something that suits your constitution. So approach it that way. And then if you find that there's a herb that keeps coming up and you're like, oh my God, so for instance, rosemary is good for migraines, but it's also good for high blood pressure, for I don't want to read out medical terms that are a bit hard to understand. It strengthens blood vessels. It's good for bronchitis and dry heaving, lovely, and bloating and vomiting and leukorrhea, if you know what that is. It's not nice. Hot flashes. So there's like a whole list of things. They might seem not related at all. That's okay. But yeah, if you're reading through a list of like what the physical uses are and you're thinking, oh my God, yes, I used to have that. Oh my God, I have that now. And I have that and I have that. And you're just like, yeah, then that is a plant that you should prioritize as the top of your list for what you want to try. And I am going to recommend today that you just try one herb at a time. It's a very long-winded process, but it's worthwhile, because if you try one herb for a month, then you know exactly what it did to you. And as you can see, one herb can do a hell of a lot of things. So thinking that oh, it's only one herb, what if it doesn't work? It's not great if it doesn't work, but if you're reading them in depth like this and you're ticking those boxes with them, then you're getting more close to something that will work. It's not like if you went on Google and you're like, oh, it says on here I should use rosemary for migraines, and that's all you know about it. You're making your choices more accurately by knowing the other things that the plant does. Okay, so you've got a good reference. You've picked your herb by having read about them in detail. Step 4 is take it. So you're going to take it for a month. If you're taking a tea of the herb, then you're going to use a heat teaspoon with boiled water on it. Infuse it for 10 minutes with a lid on and drink that 3 times a day. If you're using a tincture, then you're going to take 3 mils of it 3 times a day. I don't have any examples because I'm sold out. Oh no, I'm not sold out. They're boxed, so I don't want to get them out. But a tincture is just a liquid, and then you can take that directly onto the tongue, or you can add a bit of water. Once you've taken your herb for a month and tracked it, tracking is crucial, then you'll be able to see through comparing your 2 charts what has worked and what hasn't worked. If it doesn't work, go back to that list of herbs that you were considering at the start and move down to the next one that you thought might work for you and use that for a month. It's a really long-winded way of practicing, but I really would recommend it if you can, if it's not if it doesn't have that urgency to it. This is how you're going to learn most about your body and most about your symptoms and most about the herbs as well. You're going to get such a in-depth empirical understanding of that plant, and you'll be able to use it forevermore because you'll have such a good connection with it. So I would recommend it. If it does work, then take it for 3 months as a minimum, because I always used to say, like, the first month of treatment could be a fluke, the second month of treatment, okay, maybe we've got a pattern here, the third month of treatment, the herbs were helping, and after 3 months, hopefully you can take those herbs out of your life and your body will stick to that new, healthier path. Yeah, that's the best way of doing it. So if you want to work with me more, if you've been doing a lot of these like webinars and stuff with me, in August I'm going to be running my Peaceful Period course live again, and on that we learn how to chart our cycles, what to expect at different phases of the cycle, how to use herbs to alleviate common period problems like bloating, like fatigue, like, you know, all of those things that we've been mentioning really. And then we finish up by helping you to choose the herbs that are going to suit you, and then I'm going to have like follow-up sessions after the course is finished to see how you're getting on with the herbs you're trying, the products you're trying. The only other thing that I would like say is if you want to, rather than choose a single herb to take, choose a product to take. So like, say for instance, you want to use the Inner Goddess drops that I have. They're going to help you to get more in tune with your cycle. They're going to potentially, like, they helped alleviate my ovulation pain this month. My cycle's been more longer. It had got too short. If you're going to take something like that, fine, take it as one entity and take it for a month. Don't take a bunch of stuff at once. You don't know which one's working. If it does work, you don't know which one wasn't agreeing with you if something doesn't agree with you. Yeah, I would really recommend sticking to one thing at a time, whether that's a single herb or a single product. Then you know which to take out if it's not agreeing with you. That would be my biggest bit of advice. You're probably all on my mailing list already in order to have got the link today, so you don't really need to do anything in order to find out more about this course, but it would be lush if you did like kind of make yourself known to me that you're interested in it. I haven't run it live for a long time. It's currently closed, and it will be lovely to work like this again with people and make nice connections. If you have any questions, please let me know. Anetta, do you stop using a herb after 3 months if it works for you? Yes, that would be what I would recommend. Unless you have a chronic problem that you were probably born with, there shouldn't be a reason why you should have to take a herb every day for the rest of your life. My aim as a herbalist was always to stop people taking herbs. In my opinion, your health should be made up of a third herbs, a third lifestyle changes, a third diet. If you're doing 2 out of these 3, then you're going to be healthy, right? So if you've got a good healthy lifestyle and a healthy diet, you'll be healthy. You don't need herbs. If you can't control your lifestyle, then you should be able to use diet and herbs to stay healthy. If you can't control your diet, then you should be able to use lifestyle and herbs to stay healthy. You can't achieve health without having 2 out of the 3. That was my general observation when I was treating people. If they couldn't control their lifestyle or their diet and they thought the herbs were going to help, it's not going to happen. You need to be able to change at least one of the other things as well. So like right now, I managed to change my lifestyle and I've been taking the Inner Goddess drops. So my cycle has improved. I can't control my diet that much at the moment, or at least I don't really want to. I can't be bothered because my lifestyle's like is what it is. It's like balanced. It's in a good place right now, and I just it's too much stress for me to also try and change my diet as well. Yeah, so once you're done with your treatment, you probably then so like so if you've had a look online, you'll see that we offer treatments that are plans that last 3 months. For this exact reason, when it's a menstrual problem, you need like a minimum of 3 months, really. Also, if you're trying to affect fertility, you need a minimum of 3 months, because it takes 3 months for the egg that ovulates that month to go from immaturity to maturity. Yeah, so oh, thank you, can highly recommend the plan, that's so nice. So after the plan is done, you will probably sort of like ease off the herbs for the last 2 weeks and see if your symptoms come back, and then stop the herbs if they don't. And if they don't come back within got an alarm, my life is run by alarms, otherwise I'd have no idea what time of day it was all day. You should be able to stop your herbs, and if the problem doesn't come back, then you don't have to keep taking them. And then like herbal teas and drops and stuff will just be a part of your lifestyle should you choose it to be. So like you can then start to use herbs, like we have premenstrual peace drops, for instance. Those you could take every day to try and minimize your stress every day, but once you've got into a better place, your lifestyle's improved, you're in a less stressful lifestyle, then you can just take them as and when you feel stressed. And that like symptomatic relief using herbs is really like what we hope that you would have to, that you could get to, and really not have to use them. In my opinion, herbs are medicine, so I try not to use them unless I'm poorly. A lot of herbalists take them every day to make themselves some sort of like Superman creature, but I have no interest in doing that. Yeah, you can just dip back into it if you need to, absolutely. And you'll be able to stay in contact with your herbalist and ask them, do they recommend going back on the same stuff if you need it? Do they think that a new blend would be best? Yeah. Is there any other questions? We're running out of time a little bit. We've got about 5 minutes. Just want to check before I go. Okay, cool. Well, if anything comes to you after the call, then you can always email me. Tomorrow, or the next day, I'll be sending a recording of this so that you can see that. And I'm going to also attach the symptom record. Do you want both the symptom records or just the circular one? What do you think? Yeah, exactly, Sapna. It is a really sustainable approach. Like the whole idea of the 3-month plans is that you learn life skills. So you're learning how to maintain your own diet. You're learning how to maintain your own lifestyle into this more relaxed life. And the herbs are like just a catalyst to get you on the right path. Once you're on it, you've got all the skills to maintain it. So it might be expensive for like 3 months, but that's life skills. Like I never wanted my patients to be on herbs for the rest of their life. That didn't make sense to me. I just don't, I know how that is like true of some situations where you're like born with a problem and you need to have herbs for the rest of your life, but those are very, very rare. I really feel like yeah, it's a long-term investment, and a lot of those things that you learn, like a lot of things people will learn with me on the Peaceful Period course, they're information that should just be in schools. Like, we should learn what a good diet is, what a healthy lifestyle is in schools. It's not difficult. It's not like it's far out there to eat vegetables. Like, we know this. Why are we not teaching our children? Anyways, so the peaceful period course is like everything you should have learned in school about how your sex and hormones and menstruation works, like all the way through to menopause. If you want, we can talk about perimenopause, no problem. And then all of the stuff that you learn in a one-to-one treatment plan with us is everything you should have learned about healthy living. Sorry. Thank you for your lovely webinars. Oh, thank you. Okay, cool. I'll send you both. And the peaceful period course is gonna be, oh, that's a really good question. I think it's going to be 199, and I'm going to give you a payment plan so that you can spread it out over 3 months. Would I ever be interested in teaching this kind of thing at school? I would be interested in teaching at schools. I would like to teach it in amongst the history of menstruation that I've been learning about, like how, because I've been learning about the history of how we've taught menstruation over the years. So it'll be interesting to like put it in the context of like how our parents would have learned about menstruation and their bodies, and then how their parents would have learned, and yeah, and then like how we think it should be taught now. Cool. Well, it's been so much fun, and I'm really looking forward to doing more of these kind of like webinar things on the course, but it's going to wait now till I think August, because I'm going to need a month to hand in my last piece for Oxford this month, and then a month to prepare the course for August. But like, usually I wouldn't do things in August, but I think nobody's really going to be going on holiday, so so we can all just sit indoors on our laptops talking about periods instead. Well, have a nice day. It's lovely outside if you're in England, and stay in touch. You know, you can always send me emails. Bye, Anita. Bye, Constance. Bye.